Come on, Paul. And to say, there he is. Paul, you've got to put in a request to join now. There we go. Let's view this request. Go live. And he'll be here imminently. Thank God for that. Even as a commentator, there he is.
Am I in?
You're in. The people were so sick of hearing from me. Just the numbers were just dive bombing. So just me, just blabbering. How are we?
I'm good, man. How are you, bud? Long time no see, dude.
Yeah, man. It has been too long. Like, not just because of our bromance, but, work.
Yeah. Work.
Else, it means you're not traveling to this part of the world as well.
So disappointing. I'm sure, I don't know how out there it was that there was the potential of London. I'm sure there was the idea, right? People
it was out there, yeah.
So looking forward to that. I think everybody over here that was going to work it, it's nice to go back over to London. B, we get to see you and the crew that we don't normally get to see. And it really was kind of a buzzkill, but hopefully we keep patching this madness up and get back to normal. I know we've said that how many times?
It's brutal for me. Listen, I'll just say this one thing. I'm bloody devastated, Paul. I really am. January was the last time I held that UFC microphone, and on my resume I call myself a commentator.
Yeah.
And I've not done that job. Well, I've done radio work, and I'm very grateful for that opportunity. But it's different. Live TV for the UFC, for ESPN, and I haven't had a taste of that for a while. It's good. Listen, I don't even know if I'm going to get another go this year, which is just brutal for professionally, financially. So anyway, what can you do? We do Instagram lives with our friends. That's what we do.
I know.
And
man.
Paul, I don't want to be controversial here, but I'm happy not talking about fights. I want to talk triathlon.
So do I. Listen,
okay.
You know this has become an obsession of mine as well. We've talked about it many times. The last couple of times we were at Fight Island, I was just kind of getting into it. Obviously,
yeah.
You had been down this journey. You had done this. You had completed these distances, and I remember even talking to you about it way back when I fought.
Yeah. Sorry, Paul. Yeah, just carry on. Don't mind me.
Oh man, look at this.
Don't mind me.
Don't be modest, John. Don't be modest.
I've got to take these out. I'm getting way down over here, Paul. No, seriously, you're killing it out there. You're killing it out there.
I'm just starting. I really am. I mean, God, it's so hard, man. I mean, people really don't give this sport, in my opinion, enough credit for how brutal this is. The push that these guys do, you're watching on TV, does absolutely no justice until you're like, let me go run 2 miles. And okay, go run those 2 miles. See how fast you ran those miles. If you're an average person, that mile or kilometers or whatever it is you're running, we're probably 4 times slower than what these guys are running marathons at after 112 miles, pushing probably 26 miles an hour on the freaking bike.
It's so crazy. So why are you doing this?
Well, I definitely needed something because I knew the career was coming to an end. When I started getting into this, I wasn't quite out of there yet. I didn't know that I was officially going to be done, but I knew at 37, approaching 40, I want something to be competitive and interested in that's not going to be getting punched in the face. I love sparring. I love MMA still, but I know that there's a shelf life even to that, especially having done it professionally for so many years and my body's taking damage. And I started looking up stuff on YouTube and got into just following these guys. And I started trying to do it a little bit. And I was like, holy shit. And when I realized how hard it was, me being the mental nutcase that I am, I was like, well, I can't let this beat me. I've got to be able to do it a little bit and a little bit better and a little better. And just like MMA and fighting started, it became an obsession where I'm like, I want to be like the pros. And that's kind of what got me into fighting was I want to be as good as those guys. I know I can somehow push like that. And one thing led to the next, and I took a little break. I planned a race. That race didn't end up happening because I fought RDA. But then after that, that's when I really got into it. Because then I was like, well, now I've talked about this race leading all the way up to that fight, right? So I was like, now I have to go and complete a race. And that's when I did Virginia and I did Oregon. I just did an Olympic distance on my own last weekend. all in a row too. The transitions were obviously slower because I went from the river up to the parking lot to put on my bike gear and biked, and then back to put on my run gear. But I did that distance for the first time. That one was kind of fun. I mean, I love the mental aspect of the half Ironman and the Ironman. But to do the Olympic distance, your balls out for 2 hours.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna. This is a chat, right? So I'll give you a couple of little flavors as well. So what I'm finding fascinating is seeing guys like you, and weirdly, my foot surgeon, he went straight in at. I think his was full iron distance. Then there was a friend of mine, Dale, he's qualified for Kona off of his efforts in the UK. And I don't think he did a season of triathlon. Whereas when I did it, the reason I've got all these little bits and pieces is as part of my training block, I was doing duathlons, sprints, Olympics, and I'm not sure if it necessarily helped me. Yeah, obviously helped me for the Ironman, but like you're talking about the transitions, T1, T2, for example. Yeah. When you're on a sprint, it's very, very different. Like on an iron distance, I took my time. I had a sandwich. Yeah. You know, I took it a little easy. I got myself together, mentally prepared. On a sprint, I didn't clip in. You know, I was so that I could run straight off the bike. I didn't have to faff around and, you know, just little things like that. But as you say, you go like a flipping lunatic when you're doing those shorter courses because you can. Yeah, you know, if you're in the kind of shape you're in, you can go hammer down to the point where you're like nearly sick.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, like feeling like your heart's going to explode or puke. You don't know which one's going to happen first, but you're feeling like when you redlining, I mean, that's why they call it, you feel like you are just maxed out to the point. I mean, I was, for the Olympic one that I did, I was running, it was probably 90 degrees outside with all humidity. And I run on this Schuylkill River Trail, and it's where I swim too and bike. It's just this beautiful trail. It goes forever in Pennsylvania and through some other states. It's a beautiful trail, paved. And probably about, I don't know, 10 to 12 feet wide. And there's one portion, you know, on Kona they call the energy lab, where they go through the lava rocks where it's just melts your soul. Well, I have a little teeny mini energy lab that I call here on this, where the trees go away, the sun just fucking bakes on you, John. And at that point, I think I hit, for me, 180 heart rate going. I wanted to push under 7-minute miles for the whole thing. And it was like 7-ish, just over 7 for the whole thing. But I want to get into the 6s and eventually into the 5s for these shorter distances. But we're not there yet. But my heart rate was as maxed out as it could get.
What did you run the 10K in?
43.
Oh, wow. Yeah, good running.
44 maybe? 7, just over 7-minute miles for average for the 6.2 or 10K.
Yeah, nice.
But I could have done more. If there was let's say there was a couple of guys out there also trying to push the limits, it'd have been a lot easier. You know how it is when you're really racing versus, I mean, there was nobody out there other than my maniac self just trying to push it as hard as I could.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like real fights versus sparring, right? That's there's just the difference.
There's no comparison. Yeah, it's the different. Exactly. Whereas there's some guys that might be really good in that scenario, right? Running when the pressure's not on. Whereas I'm a game time kind of guy. And having somebody that's pushing me, I probably would have puked and then just kept going and had a better time. Not good for the overall health, John, but but still.
Yeah. The most physical part of the triathlon is the water and the beginning. It's for people that don't know this. Like my first foray into triathlon, I massively overlooked this part. I warmed up nice, got into the lake, and it was a sprint. Was it a sprint? I think it was a sprint. Anyway, when the gun went off, I thought, here we go. Took off, and I got bashed up. bad. Like people running over me, pulling my leg. I got punched in the nose. I was looking to like fight, quit. Everything was going on, and I just couldn't believe what was. I'm like, this is meant to be like a gentlemanly, in my mind, like a
not in the water,
like a middle-aged thing.
Yeah, not in the water. The water's crazy, right?
Have you found that yourself?
I did in the last one. Towards the end of the race, we all came together since it was a river swim, right? So we're all going down the river. So we're just following the buoys. Real easy course for somebody, especially starting out. It would have been great for my first one. I should have done them. I wish they were in reverse, the 270.3s that I did, but whatever. But at the very end, everybody is making this final right-hand turn at the red buoy to get out of the water, and there's 3 like staircases to run up. Then we've got quite the run to the transition. But on the way up, we all finally were spread out. Everybody's having a nice swim. Then suddenly you're just kind of bottlenecked into each other. I got kicked in the face like 3 times on the way out of the water, and I just wanted to start strangling people. But through the swim, with the pandemic and COVID and everything, the last couple races, they've been really staggered starts. Obviously, the pros kind of go together because they're literally racing each other.
Yeah.
But for us age groupers, it's just, throw 4 of them in, beep, beep. All right, next group goes. And we're kind of seeding each other in, what do you perceive your swim to be?
Yeah.
What time do you think you're going to get? And a lot of people are cheating that too. So you still run into the back of somebody who should have been like 4 groups later, and they're in your swim group.
Well, a couple of things. So when I did my
how to cheat, race, right?
Well, we were in a rowing lake, and there were 3 pods. So you row up. You kind of here. So you go up this side. So the fast team here, then middle pace, then the slow go. But then the actual guy who was commentating, but was also a triathlon coach, said to the guy that I was with and another one, they said, look, go in the fast one, because you're probably not as fast as those guys. But what will happen is they'll break away. They'll leave you in their dust. And by the time everyone sort of joins, you'll be in a nice spot early on in a swim where you have a little bit of space. And then the others maybe catch you up. Maybe you'll be, the swim is largely, if you're an hour, everyone's around an hour, whatever it might be. So it was actually a lot easier than doing that. If I'd have tried to go from the medium or the slow and get maneuver across bodies and then get on the straight, it would have been hell. Yeah. So sometimes you have to do these things. Yeah. Another thing that I learned, Paul, was not to put my goggles over my swimming cap.
Yeah, put them underneath.
Because I had that pulled down before. People don't necessarily mean to do this, but
it's chaos.
Yeah.
And I suck at it too. I'm not a strong swimmer, so I've also been a culprit of smacking a 7-year-old woman in her face, kicking a dude in the side of the head. Because I obviously my mobility for this stuff is still not the greatest, right? I'm coming from mixed martial arts into this stuff, so when I spot, I try not to. If I'm on a straight course, I'm just trying to thrash away and get my rhythm going. And I look up like every 10 strokes, you know what I mean? Or
really?
Yeah. It's bad. I'm not the best spotter. I'm just an animal out there, to be honest with you. So,
you've got to be careful you don't zigzag around though, Paul, because that's where you lose a lot of time.
Yeah, well, that's what I try to do. I try to just look up enough to know that, okay, we're still, because I can look to my right and see the buoys, so I can keep. Now, if it's a more complicated course where there's a few turns, then I'm looking up a little. Like in Virginia, I had to look up a little more. I was also in a much bigger pack in the first one in Virginia because the start was less staggered, so there was more of us in the water, and it was also a reservoir. Whereas the river, we had this whole stretch of the river in the last one. So, we were kind of all spread out. And there was also a section, since there's been a drought out west, if the race was in Oregon, they were like, hey, by the way, don't be alarmed, but there's a portion of the river for about 100 yards that is real shallow. Like you could get up and walk if you want. Right. And we're like, oh, all right. So I'm thinking maybe a few feet. John, I get out there. It's the first portion of the swim. We jump. We're all like sprinting to get into our spot. The next thing I know, I'm flowing the street. It's really hard current pulling me, and I'm touching. Instead of being able to do my catch and pull, I'm touching the bottom
I've
of the
heard that.
river.
Yeah.
I was pulling myself, just skipping across the water. Dude, I swam 1.2 miles in 25 minutes. I'm nowhere near that fast. Near that fast. That's like 100 or a 106 for 100 meters per 100 meters. I'm nowhere near that fast.
Oh, dear.
So, dude, you would have loved it. You'd have been just flying in your wetsuit straight down the river.
Love that. Listen, I can't even fit into my wetsuit these days. I'm middleweight right now. I'm just
bigger than me, I bet.
I'm 10 kilos off of when I was fitting into my wetsuit. So this is going to be expensive. And this is what I want to talk to you about. We got limited time with you today, Paul, and I've got to go and do things. And this is what some of the fun stuff for those that are really into the triathlon. But I think it's quite interesting as well. Yeah. And that's kit. Yeah. Kit and race fees. Now, even though you've afforded yourself, you've worked very hard for what you have in life, Paul. I'm certainly not dismissive of that. But I think triathlon's one of those sports. It doesn't matter if you're done very well for yourself and you're almost a millionaire, because you'll still look to go and get the bike that you really want. And you can spend all the money on those things. So however you look at this, triathlon is an expensive sport. So with that, what have you? What have been your big investments?
I'm gonna show you one of them right now. Hopefully, some people see this because I got the major hookup from the boys at Swift and the boys at Canyon. This just came, and it's not even put together.
You know, this is going to upset me, Paul, that you're getting hooked up like this and
I'm
scratching together pennies.
This is about to make you really upset, but can I flip this around? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, look at the wheels.
Not even.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Oh, look at that bad boy. He's got discs. He's got discs on it and everything.
Power meters built in.
Power meter. Get out of here, Paul Felder.
Everything's stowed away.
Is that all integrated hydration system? Is that the brand new one?
No, this looks like.
No, that's the compartment. But is your hydration in the front tube? Or do you have to load that on?
I think I would have to load that on this one. But I mean, look at these brand new wheels, man.
That sounds lovely. God,
it's something else. This now my garage is a mess, so don't judge me.
We're judging you.
But I mean,
look at all of those. Look at the order. I bet that smells good.
And then out here is even worse of a mess. But
Pain Cave. Oh no, Paul's disappeared.
I was just running there. I sent you a nice little message from there, but
right.
Yes, the Nikes have been the running shoe of choice, which I never thought I would say. I was a big Hoka guy for a long time. I think you were part of that conversation for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, that bike is. I mean, this is. I can't wait. I'm getting on Monday over at Befitting Bicycles. It's a really good bike fit shop here in PA. So that's hopefully what I'll be racing on in about 4 weeks.
Love it. Yeah. Well, I've got my old Cervelo P2, which is a lovely bike. I just need to upgrade it a little bit. But now I'm looking at race fees, new wetsuit. Then you've teased me with the goggles.
Yo, dude, John, those form goggles. I saw Lionel Sanders was wearing them and he was swearing by them, and I'm like, I know he's sponsored by them. Are they legit? And he was privately like, dude, I will not do a training swim without these. I don't think a lot of the high level guys race in them because they're not. It's a lot of equipment you don't want to get smacked up or bent up, and but as far as just keeping you on track and keeping you in the swim, because I lose count. I don't know if you've ever done this where I'll be doing lengths. If I don't have my watch set, I'll be in the middle of a 400 and be like, wait, what? How much? Yeah.
And sometimes they take a while to catch up. Well, here's the thing. Yeah. I don't know if you were using this, but I didn't do a lot of triathlon training. I had a swim coach for a little bit, but I had a tempo trainer. Have you used the tempo trainer?
No, you were telling me about this though, where it beeps at you, right?
It's like a metronome. So, but you slide it in under your swim cap, and then you hit your stroke every time it beeps. But you can't. They're not race legal. So the idea is you obviously get programmed with this stuff, but it doesn't work like that on race day. There's so many other things going on. You either overcook it or you're not going quick enough. But with those goggles, you can overcome that, I guess, because you can still you can see your pacing, so you can hit the stroke rate that you would like to.
The only problem for that, I would say, on race day versus your training is it's based on GPS, right? So you've got to be wearing a watch to get an accurate idea. And the watch has to have open water capabilities. For like example, my Garmin doesn't. I have a Garmin 345 Music or whatever. I mainly got it so I could track runs and swims in the pool originally. Now that I got the goggles, I don't even wear it in the pool, but I just wear it so I could listen to Bluetooth headphones, connect to that and give you Spotify or your music and stuff.
Right.
But if you're wearing an Apple Watch, you can do it, and it will give you a pace, but it only picks it up every time the portion of the goggles come out to breathe and your watch comes out. So as you're doing your stroke, it comes out. So that's where it gets a little bit inaccurate. Whereas I wouldn't trust it on race day. If it was telling you, it might tell you you're going 2 minutes per 100, but really you might be going closer to like 130, 125 because it's just off. And then you might really start trying to cook it because you think you're way behind and you gas yourself out.
Yeah.
And but they're amazing for training. I mean,
Okay, that's something to look at. Now, I did have a question over on Twitter, and it's something that I want to talk to you about as well, because I haven't got the equipment. I've never worked this way. So using power versus heart rate zones, or just heart rate. So is that something that you've been doing, and what kit do you have to help with that?
I do a lot of all my cycling. It has something to do with just power. My runs are primarily based on length, like time under, on foot, and heart rate. And my bike is all based on power.
Have you seen these stride pods?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I've just come across them. See, everything's new from when I did it. There's so much new kit.
There's so much kit and technology now. You can get lost in just what's the next thing and getting the magazines to tell you this. But things I would recommend, like if you're getting into it, I would say, okay, figure out, like you're talking about, how am I going to base my training? Or if you have a coach, ask them. I mean, if you're already doing that, then your coach will tell you all that. But if you're like, hey, I want to get into this stuff, not you, me and you have obviously, at least we've done this stuff. You've got experience. But even for you, if you're going to get some of this new stuff, I would recommend definitely getting an at-home trainer, man. Get yourself a Wahoo kicker or something like that, or some sort of at-home trainer that connects to a power, that will give you a power source. So you could base your training on that. So that's what I do. I have a power meter on the bike now because I base so much of my at-home training on power that when I'm out on the road, I would be a little bit lost, even though you can always look at your speed too. But if you're working on some good hills or grade, then the speed kind of gets off. If you're going up at 8% grade, you're not going 20 miles an hour. So you don't really know how hard or not hard to push it.
Okay. All right. So I need to have a look at that, because they were so expensive when I was looking at this stuff, and you have to kind of completely rip the bike apart to get it all done. So
yeah, you got to be pretty good at taking the back wheel off, putting it on the chain. Dude, I'm still bad at that. Like I still get nervous. I break my derailleur every single time that I mess around with it.
You've got to take honestly, it's worth doing. Did we do this? I think we did do this. I took like a small course in bike maintenance.
I heard. Yeah, there's bike shops that offer them. If I see one around, I would 100% go to that. And I'm learning trial by fire now, where it's just I call my coach or Lionel or one of these guys that knows what they're talking about. I'm like, hey, I had to take the derailleur off to pack it to take my bike with me, and that scared the hell out of me. Take the pedals off, and that's easy. But my TT bars had to be adjusted and then readjusted, and I had to take the pads off. And it's just a lot.
There's a lot of adjustments.
Well,
how have you found the time in the saddle with your old boy? Has your old boy suffered? Are we getting personal out here, Paul? Because I got a story for you.
No, yeah, I know. I've heard a little bit about some of the just treacherous
I was as raw as a
circumstances.
chicken down there, Paul.
Yeah,
I was as raw as a chicken. I lost the feeling in my old boy for a few days.
Yeah,
down one side of the old chap.
I have not had that. I have not had that yet. I have had some numbness and some major discomfort, and I've had some saddle sores and things like that where you know, you don't want to sit down for about 3 or 4 days. But luckily, so far so good. Just discomfort more than anything, and just being sick of being in the TT position.
Yeah. Oh, it's all good, man. Yeah. So what's the ambition with all of this stuff?
Man, you know, I don't want to, since I respect this sport so much and I respect how good these guys are, I don't think that I can ever be a professional. I think at 37, that would be ridiculous. These guys are running 5:40 per mile on, marathon pace. It's insane. But at some point, I'd like to, at least in local races, I want to start podium in some of these smaller races, win some small local races. I'd like to get to Kona someday with, qualifying for a full, in a full distance. I'd like to do well in my age group on a couple of these bigger IRONMAN ones, not pro, just till 39 I got right now in this age group. And then obviously from 39 to 40 something or 40 to whatever, it gets harder too, because guys get more money. They start spending it on this sport. Yep. They've got time. The kids are in college. They're just training their asses off. But I think as long as I address the swim, that's the real issue. I think I've been a little bit on the lazy side. But there's a guy, John Kenny, who's a pro triathlete who runs a lot of open water swimming and things here that I've been talking to. And obviously, I've been working with David Tilbury Davis, who's a really good tri coach. We get along really, really well. He lives in Finland, but he does all his stuff. Obviously we talk every day, text each other. He just does all my training plans and stuff like that. But I would like to get a more hands-on, start working with John a little more on the swim. And I think once I do that, I'll be able to start doing well, maybe top 15, top 20 in the next year or so in my age group. And then from there, it's try to just find some of these ones where there's not a lot of talented guys at and try to go win it.
So are we going to do one together, Paul?
Yeah, man.
Next year.
Yeah, I want to do a full distance, and I'm looking to make it a whole thing with the family. So next year, towards the end of where are we at now? September, probably 9 months from now or so, I want to do a full distance.
Austria or Estonia. They're quite flat courses, so not saying that you can, because you're mad about the bike, but
yes, but again, I do.
You can go crazy fast,
yeah,
and you can get some like sub 12 hour times in there. You maybe even can break that 10, and then
I broke the 5. I broke the 5. That was the big goal in the half. I broke that by 15 minutes or so. So. Now it's get closer to 4.5 is the next goal, but that's
getting through 9 is serious. If you can do a sub 9 Ironman, oh boy,
it's crazy when you think about what Jan Frodeno and Sanders just did when they did that head-to-head challenge. I mean,
yeah,
it's just insane. It's insane what the paces that these guys run at. The bike, it's mind-blowing, but being a grinder, I can wrap my head around how somebody could do that on a bike, right? I can comprehend that. The swimming and the running, I can comprehend it a little bit on the run, but that, I mean, when these guys are doing halves, I don't know, the translation might not work, but like a 5:30 a 4:50 mile for fucking miles and miles. That's insane, man.
It's crazy, isn't it? I remember I did a duathlon, and there were a bunch of Team GB athletes on the course, and my watch had all messed up. I'd gone from, I can't remember which way it was. I think I was that's right. I was in miles per hour rather than kilometers. Well, my pacing was in miles rather than kilometers. That's what it was. So I was thrown off. So then I'm just racing. And it was my first race of the season. And I went really fast for me. I think I got back then, my first race, and I still not beaten the 10K that I got that day. And people were passing me like I was a pedestrian at a bus stop.
Yeah.
And
you're going
unreal.
Hard as you're like, crushing it. But me too. Just even this past weekend when I'm like, oh, I'm redlining, I look good. If I was out there with a pro or some of these guys like the Olympians, I mean, they would have been flying past me. Like it was nothing. Like their warm-up pace is my all out. I'm going for it today pace. And I'm not terrible, but then that's why I love it. I love being in something again where I'm in awe of other people. Now, granted, obviously in mixed martial arts, I'm still in awe of these other guys. You know, I feel like that always kept me fresh in the sport, that I never got rid of that. Like I never felt like I was ever the shit. You know what I mean? Like I always felt like there's somebody out there on any given day that can beat my ass because I've been beaten up. You know, I'm not Khabib. I'm not John Jones. I've tasted defeat. I've been bested. But even more so in this sport where I'm like, oh, you know, it's just a new venture for me to push myself. And I wake up every day looking forward to what's next, good, bad, or ugly on the day. And it's unfortunately that it is driving my poor family crazy, between my mom, my brothers, my friends, Christine, Ashling. I see them plenty. I mean, I'm home right now, right? That's the good thing about the training too, is I'm here. But I mean, you know how it is. You do 3.5 hours on the bike, 4 hours on the bike. Maybe you got to travel to go to a spot where you can do that too. That's the other thing. It's not like you can just, if you live anywhere near a city, you can't just pop out your door and go do 6 hours on the bike. You've got to go to roads that you can go and do that. So for me, sometimes that's going over to New Jersey, an hour away in the Pine Barrens, and then go riding around just in the woods.
Oh, right. You're not doing it on the roads.
I'll go out to New Jersey, do this spot, then I'll do the trail over at but yesterday I did. My coach, the guy John Kenny, who does is a really good former, I think, college swimmer and now just coach / pro triathlete. Me and him went on a ride just around my neighborhood here, and I live in a pretty hilly part of Pennsylvania, not in the mountains really, but just lots of rolling hills. We did 3 hours yesterday. It was like 3,100 feet.
Oh, nice.
So we did quite nice climbs. Not crazy sustained power, but it was hot. It was another one. It was like 96 degrees outside Fahrenheit and brutal.
Yeah, man. Sounds exciting. Listen, well, I admire you because when you've been, you know, top of the elites, you're an elite fighter in the top 1% of what you do, to then completely pivot into something completely different. Endurance versus like explosive power. They're so different. You can't do them simultaneously. Not at the highest of levels, I don't think. Anyway, I could be wrong. So hats off to you, mate, because you know not everyone can you know see people just passing them. But you'll get there. Yeah. And
hey, when we're on race day, there's nobody passing me. It's because I'm so far back already because of the swim that it's mainly me doing the passing. If I had started with the main group, then it would just be pass. So luckily I get to feel like I'm actually doing something out there because I'm already so freaking, I mean, I'm passing 80-year-old guys who started to swim before me because they're a better swimmer. So it's fun, man.
Hey, listen, I've been passed by plenty of old people in the pool. I don't know what it is, but they just look so serene. And I'm thrashing around and they're just cutting through that water. I'm like, this is wrong. They got I got a wetsuit on. They're just there in their budgie smugglers. It's nuts, man.
Some of these old guys, they can be going. So there's the fast guys that just nonstop, right? Then there's the old guy, and you've probably seen this, where it's like, how is he not just sinking? He's moving so slowly, but yet his legs don't ever seem to sink. My 37-year-old legs want to seem to just go like this in the water every time. But I'll see these old guys.
Shins you got. Those dense old shins from smashing bone on bone, Paul. That's what it is.
Yeah, and the zero flexibility in my ankles. Probably I've got anchors behind me the whole time, just dragging the water.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love
you
it.
got big old feet too, so I don't know what your ankle flexibility is like.
Well, it's probably could do better, but yeah, I can't let them rest. I used to get a problem cramping up in my calves where I'm trying to keep streamlined.
Yep.
It's it's pretty tough, but yeah,
I'm the same way.
Yeah. Well, mate, we got plenty of offline conversations to have about organising a triathlon, and because you're fresher to the throes of this right now, I definitely want to dip into your knowledge because I'm going to be trying to get back into some sort of
I see you out
routine.
there, man. I see you swimming. I see you running. Yeah. Any advice? Anything? Man, I'll have to throw your name towards the guys over at Zwift too. And
oh man, if you can hook me up, I'll be. Well, did you hear me on the PTO, Professional Triathlete Organization stuff?
Yeah. Come on, how can they not throw your name somewhere to get you some gear?
Oh, just done a voiceover thing for them, but
I know. But man, these guys are all awesome. I've really had a good experience with some of these companies, and I'm not a pro. I have no business being on that canyon that Jan Frodeno and Lionel are basically racing around on, but they're smart, man. They recognize that MMA being the sport that we are and how big the UFC is getting right now, to have somebody like us who also want to talk about this sport, I think it's a great crossover, and I think it's a good way to get their brand out, right? It's not, I mean, people are seeing this right now, and I'm going to make a nice post once I think it's all put together. But yeah, maybe we can get a little something going. Maybe we could do if we get you hooked up with some Zwift stuff, man, we could do some rides virtually, literally from you in the UK and me here. And we can literally, our little avatars can get together. I actually was running in London today. That's where I was running on Zwift.
Very cool.
Within London. Yeah, you got to check. You got to get on there, man.
I know. That was just coming about when I'd left. So I've got my TV I've got up here.
Yeah,
I'm going to lower that down so that I get it at bike level, and I'll be putting the bike in. I'll ditch the grappling dummy and the mat.
Yeah.
Well, actually, before I let you go, that's kind of the problem for me at the moment, Paul. I just missed out on my purple belt, and now I know it's coming. So now I want to get my brown belt now. Not that I haven't got my purple yet, but you've always got to be looking ahead. I get so injured grappling that it's. How am I going to do this? But I'm going to try and do both. But don't tell my wife. I'm looking at her. Don't tell my wife. Because the hours, I just got to get up earlier. That's the thing. You just got to be up early.
It really is. That's what I have to do. I think that's the move for the next few weeks of this, training block to get ready for the next one is I got to start doing the swim early. Just getting that out of the way, coming home and then hanging out with the daughter before camp or school or whatever. Then it's like, all right, I got one whole workout out of the way at 5:36 in the morning, back by 7. She's up, get her ready. It would make my life a lot easier. I feel you, though. I get it. That's where it's tough. There's hours, especially if you're trying to do jiu-jitsu and do tri training. It's a hell of a lot. I was trying to do that for a little while, and it was rough.
Brutal.
Yeah.
And I'll leave you with this, Paul. So how can you be the baddest man in the planet if you can't fight someone in the water, if they're running after you, if you're on the bike? Paul, I think Francis Ngannou might have big guns, but
he
what's
can't
he
catch
like
me.
after if he's got to chase you down in the water and then have a little, who's going to win?
By the time he gets to that island that I've swam to, that mountain that I've biked up, and then when I run to the very tippy top, by the time he gets there, I like my chances now.
Exactly. Yeah. It's between you and the Diaz brothers now, Paul. That's where it's
and
at.
That would be a battle. That would be a battle because I think Nick can swim pretty damn good. I don't know about Nate, but I know Nick. He's done the Alcatraz swim, I think, in the past.
Okay.
So some serious swimmers, and I love that. I love that those guys are into that. I'd love to chat with them about it, but I don't know how it works.
Yeah, let me produce that. I'd produce that feature.
A little training session with the Diaz brothers.
You and the Diaz brothers, the UFC guys, all getting together, doing a little triathlon, something. I love it.
That'd be fun. It'd be a lot of fun,
cool. Yeah, I'm going to pitch it to Candido right now.
Yeah, right. Zach hates that I do all this stuff. He's always on me about it. He's like, you think you're going to miss calling a fight because of your triathlon stuff? Get the hell out of here. So I'm like basing all my races on knowing when I'm working, because I can't be like, oh yeah, I can't do that one because I've got an amateur race where I make no money. Can't be doing that. Not yet.
Yeah,
I got a real job first.
I'm keeping my ambitions under my hat, especially at the moment, since I'm taking anything they want me to do, like sweep the floor or anything like that. So,
well, I mean, hopefully it's some features. There's some European features out there, yeah?
Yeah, I've been doing
I saw you shooting some stuff there, so thank God for that at least, right?
I've been doing a bit. I'm talking to UFC Fight Pass about doing some things for them as well. So things are looking up. But
good.
Can't wait to get back with the team and, you know, do some work on the road. That's obviously what we all love to do. So, yeah.
I know. It's missed. Trust me. I can't wait to. Yeah. You know, we were so good, and then we'd have our little dinners and little post-show cocktail, and now it's just all been stripped away from us.
Ah, dear. We had it so good. We didn't know how good we had it, Paul.
We really didn't.
No.
I mean, we're in Copenhagen one day, London, Russia, and I'm like, oh man, all this travel, and now I'm like, what is it?
Oh dear. Well, it won't happen again. So anyway, I know you got things to do, Paul. Thank you so much. Yeah, and I'll give you a call and we'll sort something out. And to the bloke that said I looked a bit silver and stuff, I'm getting old and I'm running a lot. Yeah. It'll happen to Paul as well. He'll go grey. His skin will go leathery. That's what happens.
It is going grey. You just can't see it as much in my gingery hair. But trust me, there's white hairs in my beard and stuff. So
you don't have to make me feel better, Paul. I just wanted to get back at the guys. You know.
I like it. I think you look distinguished. It's distinguished.
Very, very distinguished. Right, this was brought to you by Real Life Ninjas. Here's some of my stuff here. Buy my stuff. It will help me feed my family. And I will see you very soon, my friends.
All right, brother. Great talking to you, man.
Cheers. Peace. Ride safe. Bye-bye.
I will.